are gonna head and get started. We're gonna go ahead and get started just so we can engage with our guest and make sure that Kit can get started with her recording. And as people join in, we'll have the dialogue with them, and then we'll have the recording left over for the rest of our audience that signed up. So thank you so much for joining us, Oceanina. Am I saying your name right? I'm so sorry.
It's fine. It's Oceana.
Thank you so much. So just to introduce ourselves, we're the Life Currency, and we focus on creating educational resources for educators, entrepreneurs, professional and personal development. And today we're partnered with Kit, who is a creative business owner, as well as Adobe, who's going to take us through some tips and tricks for owning a creative business.
Awesome. Hello. I assume it's my turn. Hi, thanks for being here. Really excited to be here. This session is called 5 Things You Wish You Knew Before Starting a Creative Business. And it is a collaboration between the Life Currency, Adobe Express, and me, Kitiya Palaskas. I'm really thrilled to be here sharing some of my creative business insights with you today. And we're gonna really dive deep into some of the things I think that people don't necessarily think about before they start a business, but are crucial and important to establishing yourself as a working creative from the get-go. So what I might do first is share my screen. Now, let me know in the chat if you have any problems at all throughout this session, seeing anything on the screen or hearing me or anything like that. And I'll do my best to fix it. I just want to bring up the chat so that I can see what you guys are saying. Here we go. Okay. All right. So I just thought maybe if you're in here at the moment, feel free to introduce yourself in the chat. Let us know where you're coming from and kind of what you're interested in sort of hearing about, maybe what kind of creative pursuit you do or business pursuit you do. Would love to kind of hear more about you. I wanted to briefly introduce myself to get started. So if you don't know me, I'm Kitiya Palaskas. I am a craft-based designer and Adobe Express ambassador. And I'm also the founder of Kitiya Palaskas Studio, which is a creative design studio here in Melbourne, Australia, where I am streaming from today. We've been running for the past 12 years. I started as a creative freelancer and now have moved on to being a creative studio with a small team. We've been working with brands all over the world for the past 12 years, specializing in producing props, installations, DIY, digital content creation, illustrations, and also creative workshops, all using craft-based techniques that are kind of reimagined in fresh, new, colorful ways. And we celebrate handmade in absolutely everything we do. It's kind of my passion. So in today's session, I'm going to be sharing 5 key things that I wish someone had taught me when I was starting my business. So I very much built my business from the ground up with no prior business experience. I learned everything I now know from making mistakes, lots of them, learning on the job, trial and error, and that kind of thing. And even though this path, I might say, was kind of like a little bit more challenging a path to business growth, I definitely feel like I gained a lot of invaluable experience this way. And I wanted to share some of that with you today. And also a few practical tips on how to make life easier for yourself as a working creative. And as part of that, I'm going to be sharing a quick look into Adobe Express, which is a design platform that I use all the time here in my business to make my work life and my workflows a lot easier, more streamlined, take less time so that they can leave more room for creativity. But first, let's jump into the first thing that I wish I knew when I started my business. All right, so that is you don't need a business degree to start a business. So I had a really traditional, I guess, upbringing in terms of my parents both were academics working at a university, and they very much felt very strongly about formal education, so higher education, university. And it was like definitely essential that I was going to have to go to university if I wanted to like be anything successful in this life. And so they really like drilled that into me from an early age. And so I went through school thinking that in order to achieve something, I really had to have a formal qualification. But luckily, my desire to be self-made and make my dreams happen no matter what led me off of that path and into the world of entrepreneurship. And so I guess my first tip is this, because I just wanted to say that you are not doing it wrong if you go to start your business with no experience, with no formal education. There's nothing wrong with formal education or education at all. But I just want you to remember that there are so many ways to achieve your career goals and your dreams, and one size doesn't fit all, and you just need to work out the path that you want to take to get there. So this brings me to my next point. I wanted to talk about the DIY ethos, which is kind of like the ethos that fuels me and my creative business. I really believe in the concept of DIY, not only in my crafting and making techniques, but also in how I approach my career. So this ethos has really carried me through the past 12 years, and I just wanted to share a little bit about it with you right now. So to me, when I say DIY ethos, I'm kind of talking about feeling empowered to design your own career path, even though it might not currently exist. Like maybe the job that is your dream job doesn't currently have a job description that is common or that exists in life. It's all about creating your own opportunities rather than waiting for people to come to you and offer you things, just making things happen for yourself. It's about producing your own content. So when it comes to like marketing and branding your business, doing that by yourself. And we'll talk about a few tools that will make that easier for you a little bit later in this session. It's about defining your own style, going your own way, and following your passions wherever they lead you. So if this sounds appealing to you, I highly encourage you to lean straight into this kind of ethos, because it really is empowering to create things for yourself. And I truly believe that you don't have to wait for somebody else to give you that opportunity to do so. You can start doing it today. So if you're wondering, okay, so I don't have a formal education, how do I actually practically get where I want to go in business? How do you define what it is that you want and how to get there? Well, the first thing you might want to do to help shape your creative career path is to perhaps set some goals. So here's a few tips for creative business goal setting that I've learned along the way. So I guess the first one is, let's just say you're fresh to this, you know you want to do something creative as your career, but you don't know where to start. What I did when I first started, and what I kind of continuously do year by year to check in, is to just start with a big brainstorm of anything and everything that you want for your business. Maybe you'll start writing down things like, I want to be an illustrator, or I want to do set design, or maybe it's something a little bit less like practical and more like, I want to have the freedom to pick and choose the hours that I work every day. So just write down a list of your dreams and desires and see kind of what comes out of that as a first step. The next thing I would suggest would be looking at this big dream storm or brainstorm list that you've created and identifying whether you can sort of pull out any goals from that list, like things that you might want to achieve long term, or even things that you want to achieve short term, like, okay, I want to at least have the branding for this new business and a business sort of plan or strategy in place in the next 3 months. Or it could be something like, in 5 years, I want to own my own creative studio and have like some staff members so that I can just be the creative director and they can do the practical things. Whatever it is, see if this big dreamstorm or brainstorm list of yours identifies some goals that you can start to follow. The next thing would be to start at the beginning, start small, start with your immediate and short-term goals, and create a list of real actions that you can take towards that. We don't have to do it all at once, and I think it's impossible for anyone to. So maybe you could just start with one goal, pick something you want to just get the ball rolling with, and try and write a list of actions to help you get there. And then finally, can you identify any areas where you might need to build your skills? So let's just say your goal was, I want to have the branding sorted for my business in the next 3 months, but I'm not a branding designer. What do I need to do to get myself there? Perhaps it's taking a course or watching a YouTube video or something like that on some branding basics to really educate and empower yourself to reach that goal. So we're pretty set on the reality that you don't need a business degree to start a business, but you still, like I just said, might need to learn some skills in order to run a successful business. And so how do we do that in reality? Here's just some of the many ways that we can educate ourselves as creative entrepreneurs. And you are already doing one of them right now by being in this class, which is very awesome. So yeah, here's just a list off the top of my head. There's so many free resources out there, like YouTube videos, podcasts, social media accounts. There's online courses and classes like this one. There's blogs. I've listed a few of my favorites here, including my own, that have a lot of creative career advice and inspiration from other people who are working in the creative industry. There's creative business books. There's newsletters you can sign up to, Slack channels you can join, creative events in your town or online like this that you can join. And yeah, communities just like the Life Currency and the Adobe Express Insiders community that all just are filled with creative people that want to help and support you and give you advice. These are just some of the many ways. And so if you can think of anything that you know, a great creative book, a podcast, any kind of thing like that, feel free to pop it in the chat so we can all learn from each other's suggestions. Okay, so let's jump into my second tip, which is making mistakes is the quickest way to learn. So like I said earlier, I've made so many mistakes in my creative career journey. I could probably fill an entire session just talking about all the embarrassing things that I have done in my creative career so far. And you know what? Yes, some of them were really, really cringy. And I felt so stupid at the time for making these mistakes, but making mistakes is an essential part of career progression and learning. And without it, we're not going to grow. So they're actually cool. It's cool to make mistakes. Also, if you make a mistake and it's kind of an embarrassing one, which I've done many times, trust me, you're not going to want to make that mistake ever again. So you're going to learn pretty quickly a lesson from that and never do it again. So I invite you, next time you find yourself stumbling a little bit or facing a challenge, making a mistake, to try and shift your mindset. So instead of thinking, oh, I'm a failure, I'm dumb, I'm stupid, maybe try shifting your mindset to think, okay, so that was a really great learning experience. What can I take away from this and how can I move on from here? So every time I make a mistake in my business journey, I like to do a little audit and try and turn that mistake into a lesson that I can use moving forward. So here are some questions that I usually ask myself during a time like this. And I have a notebook that I actually write down these responses or this little audit in, so that over time I can go back through all the previous times that I've made little mistakes and remind myself of the lessons that I learned, which helps me become a better creative business owner and a better creative in general. So some of those questions are, what was really challenging about this experience? How could I have done things differently? What skills do I need to make this less challenging next time? And how will I move forward from here? And I find that this helps me put a positive spin on the act of making a mistake and helps me to embrace mistakes as just part of the growing process. Okay, moving on. Number 3, relationships are the key to career growth. So obviously I do think talent, a good work ethic, and ambition are really key factors to creative business success. But I do feel really strongly that it's the community that you build around you that's going to get you places in this world. It's the people that you meet and the support you get from others that is truly invaluable in the world of business. So most of my work actually comes through word of mouth, recommendations from others and friends I've made in the industry that kind of like think of me somewhere down the line and hit me up to work with them on fun projects. And it's been this way since the very beginning. I started my business kind of before, this is going to make me sound really old, but I started my business like before Instagram was used as a strategic business tool, for example. It was like still a world of like online forums and Blogspot blogs. I don't know if anyone remembers Blogspot, but yeah, there was no kind of social media and stuff like that. So we really did have to rely on like word of mouth and our reputations and kind of cultivating these great relationships with other people in our communities. Travis has just said throwback. Yeah, Blogspot. Where are all my Blogspot friends at? I think my Blogspot's still kind of floating around the internet. So if any of you wants to find it, it's very cringy. But yeah, so I definitely kind of shaped my business based off of personal relationships. So when you're part of an amazing creative community, you all lift each other up and you support each other. You show up at each other's events and you recommend each other to, people for jobs and things like that. And that just feels so good to be part of something like that. And I just love supporting my fellow creatives. I love shouting them out. And it's just a really heartwarming, amazing thing to be part of, especially as a solo business owner, when you may not have many peers doing the same thing as you. It's just so nice to be part of something. So I definitely think that community is key. Now, I have a really weird vibe about the term networking. I think a lot of business advice talks about the importance of networking, but personally, I think sometimes it can feel a little bit awkward and weird and inauthentic to go out into the world and schmooze people with your business card and only take interest in someone if they can get you somewhere on the ladder of creative business. That's not what I'm talking about when I talk about relationships. I prefer to take this approach, which is to make friends and not contacts. So I like to go into every new creative community interaction with the approach of making a new friend. And yes, I know you can't be besties with all your clients, and maybe that's not professional sometimes. You can't just be hey to, a brand new client, want to come to the club with me on the weekend? That's kind of not what I'm talking about. But what I mean by this is that I go into these interactions being my authentic and my true self, being personable, showing a little bit of my personal side rather than just being blank-faced professional business person all the time. Showing genuine interest and excitement to meet a new person, asking them questions about themselves, being kind, being respectful, and being open to making a new friend that may one day turn into a colleague or not. At the very least, will be someone that I can consider part of my creative community. And so I think that these sorts of relationships will get you very far, even if it's a slow burn. I think we're so used to instant gratification these days. But I definitely do think, I've had friends that I met someone at an art exhibition when I was 22, and then 10 years later, they hit me up to work on a huge global branding project because they remember that I said way back in the day, I love piñatas. And this whole project was about creating piñatas for all these people around the world. That kind of thing. You never know when a friendship will bring a fruitful business opportunity. And it is just really important to have a creative community. Okay, so tip number 4, save some creativity for yourself. So when you're a working creative, creativity is your job. And like all jobs, as much as you love it, inevitably you can end up feeling like it's just work at the end of the day, because it is. And you can kind of get stuck in that work routine, that cycle of clocking on, clocking off, to-do list, responsibilities, and everything else that comes with running a creative business. And that's just part of being a working creative. But the thing is, our creativity is what fuels our business. It's what generates an income for us. And it's essentially the most crucial factor to our success. So in my opinion, we have to protect that creativity at all costs. So on any given day, I'll probably only spend this is shocking, but 5% of my day being actually creative for me, if that. And that's because my business and my client work just takes up so much of my time. And so that's why in recent years, I've really made a concerted effort to dedicate proper time to furthering my creative practice separate to the creative stuff that I do for work. And I can't emphasize enough how crucial this is as a working creative. So how can we ensure that we hold precious space for nurturing and growing our creative practice? How can we stay inspired and keep it fun when creativity becomes our job? So here's a few ideas that might kind of prompt some ideas for you. So I guess one of them could be, you could schedule in a block of time for pure making or inspiration hunting each day or each week. So for me, Fridays is that day for me. I work only on my personal creative projects, or I'll go to an exhibition opening, or I'll meet up with a creative friend and we'll have a creative little hangout together. Maybe we'll do some craft together, that kind of thing. You could give yourself a creative challenge or a prompt to kind of just force you out of your comfort zone or your routine to try something new creatively. You could have a making day with friends, like I just mentioned. You could try new techniques that you've never done before. You could attend a class or a workshop of a different kind of creativity to what you usually do. And most importantly, you could make stuff that no one will ever see. So like not for the gram. I think this is really important. There's like just like this kind of feeling that every time we go to do something creative these days, we have to like document it for reels or something like that. But I'm telling you now, it is so liberating to just go make something and not feel like it has to be perfect or be condensed down into a 30-second time lapse or be for any purpose other than your pure creative enjoyment. I think that's very important. Okay, so now I just want to talk a little bit about what happens when the realities of running a creative business or a business in general become too overwhelming or too all-consuming. You could experience creative block or burnout. Now, if you've experienced either of these things before, give a little thumbs up or thumbs down in the chat, because I think it's something really common that a lot of creatives experience, and it's happened to me quite a few times now. So it's really scary when this happens because you can feel like you'll never get the energy to be creative again. And if your creativity is the source of your income, this can be really terrifying and have like real world implications on you and your business, which is not fun. But I'm here to say that burnout is temporary and you can move through it, and protecting your creative energy and always making time for your creativity is one of the key ways to prevent that. So here are some signs of burnout that I've experienced to help you recognize it early if it is something that is happening to you so that you can make some changes. So I guess the first sign would be that you have no energy or enthusiasm for your creative pursuits, which really sucks. Next, you could just get easily frustrated and negative about literally anything to do with your business, to do with your creativity. You just become a hater, really. You might find it really hard to complete like normal, simple tasks, like, you know, your day-to-day business admin or things like that. You just really resent doing it. Your ideas might not be flowing as freely as they used to. I mean, you can definitely tell when you're just like stumped for trying to work out what you're going to create next. If there's just nothing coming to you, you'll feel really uninspired. You might feel like feelings of FOMO and comparison when you look online and see all these other people that are not experiencing creative block or burnout, who appear to just be kicking goals and being their best creative selves when you're not. Really sucks. And here are some remedies that I'd like to suggest if you do experience burnout or creative block in your creative career journey. So one of the things would be to step away from your creative work and business. Now, I know that's easier said than done if you are a full-time working creative, or if you can't just not go to work that day, but maybe there's ways that you can kind of set up some boundaries, perhaps to kind of like isolate that work time that you have to do, and then give yourself a little bit more time to rest, to do some self-care, that kind of thing. Obviously, seek professional help. Counseling and things like that can be really, really helpful. Perhaps you could employ some time-saving strategies which free up more time for you to just be creative for fun. And also use the right tools to help you do that too, which brings me to my next tip. You don't have to do it all yourself. So speaking of time and tools, this is something that I feel like was really hard for me to learn, but is really important. There are so many different practical tools and things that can help you to make your work life just so much easier, which will free up more time for you to be creative. So setting up your business with practical systems and utilizing tools to help you streamline your business workflows will leave you more time for creativity and allow you to just achieve that crucial balance that I think we're always trying to find between nurturing your creative practice and running a successful business. So there's so many practical tools out there, and I really want to encourage you to explore those and figure out kind of what you need help with and try and go and look for a tool that will match that. But today in particular, I wanted to share one of my favorites with you, Adobe Express, and show you what it can do for your business and as a creative business owner and just a creative in general. So I am going to jump into Adobe Express now and walk you through some of my favorite features. I love a show and tell, so that's what we're going to do. And then I'm going to just show you a quick little demo of some of the tools that I love to use and how it kind of like helps me in my creative workflow. So I'm just going to stop sharing my screen, and then I'm going to share a different screen with you guys. Okay. Let me know if you can't see that. Hopefully you can. Now, if you have any questions as we go through about Adobe Express, I believe the lovely Sydney is in the chat to help you kind of get a little bit more information about that kind of thing. So let's have a look at the dashboard. So this is Adobe Express on the web. Now, there she is. She's in the chat. So if you have never used Adobe Express before, it is a online app / platform that you can access on the web, on the phone, on a device. And it's a all-in-one design platform that can really help you to create beautiful design assets for all sorts of things, from social media posts to physical posters and documents to flyers, all with the, I guess, intention of helping you promote your creative business or your creative pursuit, or just design really amazing, fun things for your life. So I'm just scrolling down here to show you all the different kinds of like elements that are available to you within Adobe Express. There are heaps and heaps of different templates that you can create from, and you don't have to be a designer at all. So I'm a designer, but I'm not a graphic designer. And I always have felt a little bit insecure about that, because I don't know, I guess, is this an assumption that you're gonna like be a good graphic designer if you're a different designer? But no. So I actually find this really useful because all of these templates here have been created by actual designers. And so I can actually use them and appear to be great at design. It makes it so much easier for me, because the things that I don't understand, like the layout or, you know, typography and color matching and things like that, are all done for me. So as you can see here, there's a lot of different templates that you can use. I'll just give you a little preview of some of these. So there's some quick actions. So as you can see, there's lots of different tools that you can access really quickly that help you to create digital assets. And because we're talking about creative business today, I'm going to talk about all of this in the context of running a business. But yeah, so there's everything that you might need to create beautiful digital assets for your creative business, accessible very, very easily here. This is a feature that I love. Whoops, guys. We're going to go into it. It's the brand section. So if you have a creative brand, you can actually upload. So here's mine. Let's have a little sneak peek. You can upload everything from your business logos, your business colors, and your business fonts all into here, so that you can like really easily brand, like at the touch of a button, any designs that you create in Adobe Express. So let's have a look at, let's have a look at some of these. I don't know if it's going to let me load them. Well, these are all the logos that I've uploaded. I've loaded all my colors, and we'll see them in a moment, like come up when I do a little design for you, and I've uploaded my brand fonts. There's also this library section here, which is a really great way to store all your files, and you can share them with like your team. So here's some of the libraries that I have, which means that multiple people can access your files and work on them with you, especially if you have different templates and stuff like that. I just wanted to draw your attention to this section here, which is the public library section. Adobe Express has created a group of public libraries that you can access and use all these assets for your design. So this one here, called Cut and Paste Papercraft Graphics, is actually one that I have created. I wanted to show you it because it's a whole bunch of like papercraft design assets, and you can feel free to use these for anything that you want in any of your designs. I've made them all to share with you. So if you find yourself playing around in Adobe Express, you can access this from within your design panel, and you can use any of these things that I've made for your designs. So just wanted to show you that. There's also an amazing, content scheduler, which is kind of a new feature in Adobe Express that I love, which allows you to streamline things like even more and post them automatically onto your social channels. And I'm going to show you that in a second. So first, I wanted to just show you some of the real templates that we have for my business here in Adobe Express, and my staff like use these all the time to create assets for our social media and for lots of different things. So this is a library that I've created that my staff have access to, and we've created just some basic designs here that can be, these templates can be remixed over and over again to create new assets for social media. So I just want to just really briefly show you how you can work from a template. So it could be something that you've designed from scratch, or it could be one of the templates that's available within Express itself. So when you find a template that you want to use, you just roll over it and hit create from, and it'll open it up for you. And then you can start to access and like sort of change things around, which we'll see in a moment. It opens up this panel, which is like a design art board. And there's heaps of stuff to explore here. So I'm going to try and barrel through this quite quickly so that you can see all the cool stuff. So here's our template. It's really easy to do things like, for example, if you select something, let's just say, I love this, but I want to make the color something different. You can literally just click on that. And then as you can see here, all of my brand colors have come up that I loaded in previously in the brand section. So I can just really easily access every single brand color and just quickly change a background to whatever I want. Likewise, you can do the same with fonts. So let's just say this is my brand font here, but let's just say I want to choose another font. There's like thousands and thousands of Adobe fonts that you can access here. So if you don't have a brand font, you can actually create a consistent branding look using one of these Adobe fonts, and they're all licensed for commercial use. So you can do that very easily. So let's just say I want to change one. All you have to do is tap on it. You can create like different sort of font treatments. Honestly, I encourage you to go in here and have a look at all the stuff. I'm not going to have time to show you absolutely everything there is today, but there's just so much to explore. So you can change the color really easily. You can add shadows really easily. So if we have a look on this panel, want to create a shadow maybe in like purple or orange, we can do that. We can sort of change like the look of our shadow and thickness, the thickness and stuff like that. You can create outlines as well. There's literally like so much stuff that you can do in here. Now let's just say, okay, I really like the look of this, but I want to add like maybe some other sort of graphic elements to this tile. So there's a whole shapes library here that you can access. Again, usable for all your commercial kind of projects. Basically, you can type in anything that you want and you'll find like some icons for it. So I don't know, there's some flowers in this photo. So let's type in flowers and see what you can get. So, I mean, it says here 7,507 flower shapes that you can choose from, which I'm totally loving. So I could scroll through these all day, but we don't have that much time. So maybe I'll just choose one from the top. Okay, I like this one. You click on it and it'll add it into your design. Oops, it added two. Get rid of one. And okay, yeah, it's turned out to be green, but I actually want it to be a different color. So I can just change the color of that again to match my branding. So maybe we'll make it orange. And then you can kind of adjust where, like how that looks if you want. I think that's pretty cute. If you want to adjust kind of the layout of any of your things, you can just drag things up and down on this little panel here, which really helps for like easy layout sort of changes. Just going to check the chat. Travis has said, here I thought I needed to be advanced proficient. No, you can just, anyone can do this. It's like, yeah, that's what I love about it. Okay, so we want to add more now. Let's just say I love these little icons, but maybe I want something that's a little bit more graphic and like illustrated. There's this whole design asset library here, which you can access. Again, thousands of different illustrative design assets for all of your projects, overlays, shadows, frames, all that kind of thing. Let's have a look in the trending section and see if there's anything that we might want to include in our project. Well, I can already see that there's like a photorealistic flower here. So I'm going to click on that and it's going to add it in. That is really cute. Love that. Going to resize and move it around the board as well. Really like the way that that looks. Let's see if there's anything else in here. Oh, well, there's a cat. So for the purpose of this, because I love cats, for the purpose of this, I'm just going to add a cat, even though it's completely not got anything to do with this DIY project that I'm advertising. I just thought it would be fun. So let's put it here and I want to drag it underneath those orange flowers that I had before. So we'll put that under. That is so cute. Okay, I love that. any excuse to include a cat in a work project and I will do it. I try and talk about cats literally every time I'm doing anything. Okay, so there's that. So that's our design. Also, let's just say you wanted like a pattern background, for example. I quite like the blue on this design, but you can actually access here this backgrounds tab, which has all these different backgrounds that you can access that are already pre-made. So all you have to do is search for the kind of background you want and you can find something in there. Again, let's just say I want to brand this with my logo. I click the logo section and up comes all of these logos that I've already designed. So let's just say maybe I'll add like this one. Let's just make this design very busy. So it just pops up in the corner there, but obviously you can like change the size and drag it around and that kind of thing. So there's my logo. What else? You can add photos here using all the photos available to you in Adobe stock, or you can upload your own photos, totally up to you. There's literally there's so much that you can do with this. Now, let's just say you've created this design and you love it and you want to turn it into a template so that you can actually get your team or use it for future things. All you have to do here is click share and then make a template. And then you can sort of like name it, you can file it into a library that you want to put it in, you can add a note about it, share a link to it, so that then you can just open this up and create and remix this template anytime that you want. So it's very easy. Now, what if you want to schedule this beautiful design on your to post on Instagram or one of your social medias? It's really easy to do that. You just click this little calendar up here that says schedule your post to social media. And it will open up the content scheduler that I kind of like briefly showed you a little bit before. And it'll just open up this kind of like editing panel. You can choose the date that you want to publish this, the time. The media has already like loaded itself in for you, and then you can add your captions, preview it, and then you can choose what channels you've connected to. I've connected to a couple, but it's just that they're not showing up because I'm on my laptop. So I'd have to reconnect them again. And then you just you can just schedule it, and then it'll send you a push notification. And then you can just like post it from wherever you are, if you're on your phone, that kind of thing. And you can actually just like preload all of your scheduled posts into the content scheduler in this section here and have them all ready to go. Makes it super easy to be able to do this directly from inside the app that you're designing from, rather than having to like jump around into different scheduling apps or like, go in and out. Everything's, excuse me, everything's all there for you already. So that's a super brief look at some of my favorite time-saving features in Adobe Express. Honestly, time management is one of the biggest challenges in running a creative business, and being able to utilize or find tools that can help you do all sorts of different things in one program is really amazing as a creative business owner. So if you have any other questions or want to explore more about Adobe Express, I highly recommend you jump in and have a go yourself. Sydney, let me know if I'm wrong, but I think you can sign up for a free trial just to kind of give it a go. And also there's a whole free sort of subscription with Adobe Express, as well as a premium subscription, both of which have some really amazing tools that you can access. So really, I just encourage you to jump in and explore it for yourself. There's so many different ways to use it. You just have to work out what suits you and what you need. So that was my little demo. I'm just going to share one last screen with you now. We'll go back to this. This is a list of further resources if you want to kind of continue your creative career education with me or with Adobe Express. We'll also be emailing these links out to you, so don't worry if you don't catch them in this slide. But I've included here the Adobe Express YouTube channel, which has some really fabulous videos from lots of different Adobe Express ambassadors like myself, all about all the sorts of things that you can use Adobe Express for. So if you still want more inspiration, that's a great place to start. I've also included a link here to my Creative Career newsletter, which is a monthly newsletter that I send out. Each month we focus on a different creative business topic, and it's really fun. I sometimes include little like voice recording podcasts in there talking about the topic. It's a great little community. Again, I've included all of our social media handles, although you probably have them already, and then some further contact information for me if you have any further questions that you think of after this, or if you watch the replay and you want to ask a question. honestly, my online door is always open. Feel free to contact me with any questions that you have about your creative careers. So that brings me to the end of my little talk. Thanks so much for having me, Adobe Express and the Life Currency. This has been absolutely a lot of fun, and I've covered a lot. So hopefully I didn't overwhelm you guys. And I'm honestly just here. If you ever want to chat about your creative careers, I'm super keen to do so. So thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Kit. Honestly, we've been working on this with you guys for a little bit now, and that was so informative. And I think so many people from our audience are going to learn so much from Adobe Express. We got a few messages from people and they were having trouble with our own funnel. So I know they're going to get some great opportunities to sign up and look at replay. So we'll send over all of these great resources. You'll send over your links and we'll share that information with our audiences. And just again, thank you so much to you. Thank you so much to Sydney and the Adobe Express team. This has been fantastic. And I know for sure that our audience and teams are going to get a lot out of the Adobe Express products and services.
Amazing. Thanks, everyone.
All right. So everybody on the call have a great, well, did anybody have any questions? I think we might have time for maybe like one or two. I feel like we had a
I
pretty
didn't have
active.
any questions, but I did want to say, Kit, great job. This is the first time I've actually seen this presentation and I loved it. I particularly loved the one on making friends, not contacts, because I think even me working at Adobe, you know, I'm so used to this idea of like kind of the corporate American networking, putting on that sort of face, playing the game. But I get to work with a lot of people like yourself and a lot of small business owners and creators. And I just have the glory of like actually being able to just be like a real person and really connecting with people. And those relationships tend to further me so much more. Like, yes, in my career, but even just as a person. And then that, you know, being a more well-rounded person trickles down into every aspect of your life. So I think you said it perfectly.
You're gonna make me cry. That's so nice.
Yes, thank you so much. It was a fantastic presentation.
Just yeah, shoot a DM through to one of us or send an email. We're happy to answer them after the fact.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Kit and Sydney, and we will follow up with the recap and the post emails. So thank you all. Have a great day, Kit, and a good evening to everyone else.
Take care, everyone. Bye.
Thanks, Kit.
Bye.
Thank you.